Hello everyone, today I'm going to tell you guys about how I won a league challenge with an old friend. This is the series where you guys get to track my 2024 season progress as I head towards the World Championships to earn an invite to wherever we may be going. We're going to find out soon where the road's going to lead us. My name is Rahul, Reddy, I'm a competitive Pokemon player, and today we're going to talk about tournament reports and kind of the importance of knowing where you made mistakes, how to get better, whatever. Right, so this is my tournament run, this is my tournament experience, how I kind of come to deciding on the deck, what I want to do, and yeah, etc. So locals are back in full swing. Everyone is kind of going to their local tournaments, league cups, league challenges. It's kind of been proven that you can get more than 2 finishes. So everyone who's got challenges, everyone who's got cups is coming out the woodwork, especially for those who didn't qualify for Worlds, because, you know, everyone's hungry. They want to get that World Championship invite, and it's very much like on everyone's minds because Yokohama, Japan, a lot of people have FOMO from, you know, not being able to go, FOMO being fear of missing out. And so everyone wants to make sure next year, wherever it is, they're going to be there. They're going to be competing. Whether it be like Tuscaloosa, Alabama, or we're heading to like Cairo, Egypt, people want to be there. People want to be in the centerfold of it. They don't want to miss out on a World Championship spectacle. That being said, I've been playing very few locals. I played a League Challenge on League Cup. I reported that in a different video. You can find that on the channel. But I had some stuff this weekend. I had a cup yesterday that I was going to go to, but it started at 4:30 p.m., and I had an online One Piece Regional, so I chose to play that instead, because I said, well, if I do bad at the One Piece Regional, I can head to the Cup in the evening, but that also started at 1, so by the time I was 2-2, it was already like 4, or like almost 5, actually, and I was like, well, I'm stuck here now, and I'm just going to play out the One Piece Regional, see what happens, and I got to miss both, which sucked, but I mean, I finished 7-3 and bubbled, which that's a different story for a different day, but this is not a One Piece channel, no. But there was a challenge at Labyrinth Games in DC. I really like the store. It's very quaint. It's very small. So I knew it was going to be a small challenge. I think that every time I have gone, they have capped it at 16 players, maybe a little bit more, maybe 18 to make space for people. But it's a very small store in DC, so I knew I wanted to go and I wanted to get there early. I pre-registered ahead of time on Saturday night, and I just started thinking about what deck I wanted to play. I was like, well, Gardevoir has been the deck I've been playing for locals so far, but I feel like my area has been infested with Lost Box, so Gardevoir gets a very tight matchup against that. I don't like that. I wanted to play Arctina maybe, just because it's a best of 1 deck, and I definitely think that Arctina can just win games by setting up and judge Ionoing people, and it's very, very powerful. But I was like, nah, that's really boring, and I don't want to play Arctina or any Arc deck. And so I was kind of just evaluating all my options, and I was pretty sure I was just going to sleeve up Guardy again and hit the blocks, because I don't want to like reveal anything I'm really testing for Worlds or putting time into. And then my testing group and I were talking, and we came across a couple of Regigigas lists. And so I took Cal Connor's, or like Ranesh John's from the Asia Cup, their 12th place Regigigas list, and I made a couple changes to it. I know you guys are here for a deck list, but I can't reveal that yet because we might be playing Regis for the World Championships if it tests well, or continues to test well, because it's been testing really, really well for me. So that being said, I can't really reveal the list to you guys. I really apologize, but follow my social media and all that stuff to see it. You guys know I'm the Reggie guy. You know I'm the dude. I earned the most points with Regis. I got a top 4 trophy with Regis for Christ's sake. But I made a couple of changes to add the Rahul flavor to it, and you know, Isaiah, my testing group, everyone did the work. I kind of took the list and I said, sure, you know what, Reggie sounds like a lot of fun. I can go to a challenge at 11 a.m. and be home by like 3, 4 probably. So I head over to the challenge. We're doing deck checks in the morning because it's 16 people, so obviously they can deck check everybody. Makes perfect sense. We're doing preemptive deck checks. Everything gets underway. 16 people. We fire off. So I'm playing Regis. We fire off into the tournament, and our tournament organizer announces it is now best of 3. And we're like, wait, what? It's best of 3? And he's like, yeah, I'd like my locals to get some practice, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know, ready to kind of get out of there, but it is a small challenge, and out of 16 people, getting top 4 is basically just going like X1-1, and especially with best of 3, I was pretty confident that people would not be as experienced with ties and playing around time, so I stuck it out. The first round I hit Anna, and they were playing Tinkaton EX, and in the first game, they just opened a Tinkatink. I went first. I kind of set up. I got like 3 edges in play. I attached like a grass energy or something to my Drago, which I opened. Fortunately for me, I set up perfectly, kind of, and I was like, okay, I have an Iono in my hand for next turn. I'll go ahead and path them preemptively. I don't know what they're playing or what they have, but I ended up playing a heavy count of path, so I went pathing them, and I was like, okay, this is fine. I should be fine. And then they just passed with a Tinkatink active, and I was like, oh. And then I went ahead and energy searched for the fire. I researched the hand away. I ended up attaching the gift from hand. Got the other 3 Regis via Nest Ball or Ultra Ball or whatever. or sorry, I Ionoed, my bad. I Ionoed to find the pieces. I think I Ultra Ball. I think I top decked the Ultra Ball, so I Ultra Balled away the fire that I energy searched for, and then I went ahead and like set up, and I ended up attacking with Drago for a game. Game 2, they actually set up properly and had a feasible, like playable start, but unfortunately for Tinka Ton EX, or even their board, I was able to attack with the Aleki and put 120, 40, 40 on the board at some point, and then I was able to recycle that and do it again down the line. And this basically put everything in like one-shot range from my Reggie Steel, and the game kind of was over from there. Like I took the first 2 knockouts, I believe. They were just having trouble setting up. I packed them, and they were playing Rotom V as their primary draw cards, and they just couldn't draw cards at that point in time. So the Rotom V just couldn't draw them cards, so they couldn't actually set up. And I don't know if they played any stadium bumps. I didn't see any, but it was definitely just a newer player at League, something you encounter at League Challenges and League Cups. People who are there for fun, be nice to them. It is their learning as well. They could be a competitor down the line. So make friends, be a good role model, be good to the community. That being said, I kick it off 1-0. Round 2, I go up against Qian Pao Arceus. The first game is kind of just like a really close back and forth where my opponent opts to go for a really weird Greninja play to put damage on my board, and I'm like, okay, interesting. So I just knock out Greninja, and I just keep like I keep going ahead on prizes because I was able to one-shot a Qianpao with my Registeel, and then I'm able to set up behind, you know, I'm just taking like knockouts or whatever, right? Like, so now I've taken 3 prizes, and they've taken 1, I think, with Qianpao at this point. Maybe 0. I think it's 0 actually, and they go for that, and then the next turn my opponent goes back into the Greninja and puts a Lost City down and takes out those Reggies, and I'm like, oh, I understand. But the problem is my active Drago was still powered up, or it might have been Steel. Like my active Steel was still powered up, and they chose not to hit that with Greninja, which is really strange to me. So the next turn, I didn't even bench any more Reggies. I pathed again. I had the other 2 still in my deck, and I just took the prize again on the active because it was kind of free, and I attached to my Aleki twice now, which is on the bench. So it has a free retreat pivot, and the next turn they went in with Qianpao, and then I just set up basically with the 3 edges I was missing. I think it was Rock, Ice, and I think it was Rock, Gigas, and Steel. So I just go get them because they weren't disrupting my hand at all, and I had like a 12 card hand at this point. Like it was pretty ridiculous. Never could proc Gift, and I was able to go ahead and set that up. And then in game 2, on like turn 3, they make a really weird play to go into my Steel with a Baxcalibur after I take the first they take the first prize with Qianpao. I take the second prize with Steel, one-shotting their Qianpao, and then they come up with the Baxcalibur with no backs on the bench, and they end up attacking with the backs, and I just go get another Steel. I path them, now they're like 2 cards in hand, and I just knock out the backs. So the game was over on the spot. Like not really they could do from there. Also, game 2 is like a ridiculous start where my opening hand game 2, I think I got 1 mulligan. My opening hand game 2 was open like Gigas, Ultra Ball, Nest Ball, Luminous Energy, Energy Search, Shoes, Nest Ball, Switch card. I think it was there might have been one more like random like bad card in there. And so I end up Shoes, I think I hit an Energy, I pitch it. No, not Energy. I hit a Reggies, I bench it. So I get the 5 Reggies, and I switch card into my Drago to draw 4 to start, and I get the other Aleki. So that's a little bit of information for you guys about my list. I'm not going to leak too much, but I have to tell the story properly. So I get the other Aleki, and I bench it, and my opponent's like, oh, because I only got 1 backs on turn 1 with an S-Ball, and I end up drawing my 4, and it's like Research and the 6th Reggie, and no other energy, and I'm like, whatever. So I go slam the 6th Reggie, Research, draw my 7, and all I'm looking for is a switch card and an energy, which is asking a lot, obviously, now that you can't really thin as effectively, and I've already used Dragon's Horde, so I'm not really looking for much. So I'm just expecting to hit into the Qianpao for 160 and still be like absolutely content, because there's no world where I should be ever attacking turn 1 in this format with Reggies, where there's no Quick Ball, no Scoop Up Net, like none of these like power cards anymore, like what is happening kind of thing. And I actually drew into the switch card, but I missed an energy. So my discard had like a Luminous and like I think it was like a Grass. I think I just went and got the Grass because I wanted to make sure I could attack with Qianpao. And I was like, I have more Energy Search in the deck. If I just hit that, I can hit that. Or maybe it was Lightning. I don't entirely remember. But I went ahead and I knew I had two. I had like a loop. I could attack with the Aleki if I just found an energy search. Is all I was thinking in my head, and I did not get an energy search, which is crazy. And then the game still went the way I wanted it to. And then round 3, kind of pairings go up. I hit John. John being the better player in the area. John and I are probably the 2 best players in the area. So obviously we want to kind of make sure that we can walk out with points every single time if we can. John and I look at the standings, and it's pretty much a guarantee that John and I are going to be playing for first place if we ID here the next round, because John would hit Nate, or if Nate loses, he would play against the person who beats Nate, which was a Chan Pao, which was Chris, I believe. And then if there was an up pair, I believe it was Jason. And if Jason won his round, I would then hit Jason. But if Jason lost, I would hit the Arc Drago, which I think are both completely fine matchups, because Arc Drago doesn't really deal with Regice very well, because they can't like Durald on the ice. It's an effect on them. So John and I choose to ID and go get like some Starbucks and chill out for a little bit. It is a 50 round best of 3 challenge, so it is a nice break in between. And then the pairings go up for the next round, and we're both really confused because there should be 4 201s. So now John and I are playing potentially for first, second, effectively. And John hits Nate, and I'm like, cool, I dodged the Arc Dura Umbreon. That's probably a little bit of a risky matchup. I feel like that should be fine still, but I'm like I don't want to go into that, because if they just choose the right Reggie and I prize the other one, I could be in a lot of trouble, and if they lost City pretty early. Because they always, I think, out stadium me if they play correctly. But they always have to put this first one down, so maybe it'll be fine. But John hits Nate, and then I look at the pairings, and I'm not playing against Jason, but I'm playing against James Thompson. And I'm like, oh, what happened to Jason? Turns out Jason, the Chan Power, who was 201, is not here for points or anything. He's just kind of a local that plays for League or some of that nature. That's what the TO said. And he had to go because he just had to be back at a certain time to be home. So he just dipped. He just said, I'm out of here. Bye, guys. And so our TO ended up dropping him and not like giving me the no-show or whatever, which I think is fair, because he did say, I'm out of here, guys. And so I ended up hitting James, who is playing Arc Pika Umbreon. Game 1, I take 2 prizes early on because he opens Metacham, and I'm like, nice, okay, we're cooking. And then he gets into the Pika. I have a water prized, and I can't find the water for the life of me in the first 2. And now I'm going deep, deep, deep into my deck trying to find any of my Gust effects. I do not find any Gust effects, and at this point now he's at like 2 prizes, so I have missed my window, because that's the last possible turn I could do it, where I can go boss or Serena up the Arceus, take the Arceus out, that's on his bench with Rock. Then I proceed to having two prizes remaining. He goes into Pika. I then, when he's at 1 prize, I then ice the Pika, and then he has to have something on the bench. And if he doesn't, I can try to gust it again, potentially. And if he retreats the Pika or something, whatever, I just pop whatever's new, because nothing can really withstand my board unless he powers everything up in 1 turn. So I lose game 1. I scoop it pretty much right there as soon as I realize I can't get the knockout. Game 2 goes pretty much as drawn up. I get the knockout onto Arceus on turn 2. No, I missed the knockout. I actually don't attack. I have to Reggie Gate on my first turn attacking, and then I path him, and his 3-card hand, unironically, is Adventurers, Lost City, Energy, and I'm like, okay, that's so unfortunate. And he sets up pretty perfectly, and then he goes into Lone Pika, and I ice him, and he pretty much realizes, okay, I gotta do something else. So he sets up another Arceus, or starts setting it up, and then I hit the Pika again for 100, because I prized Electric, so I couldn't make any cheeky plays there, which I really wanted to. And then he ends up retreating into the Arceus, knocks out my ice. I bench ice again, no City this time, and I rod back the ice. And then I path, basically thin my deck out. Now it's like 6 cards, maybe. And so I know I can hit ice no matter what happens. And then I just one-shot the Arc with a Rock. I know I have a Rock still in deck, or in hand at this point, and then he slams the Judge, and I just find my way back into the ice lock, and the game ends right there. Game 3, very similar story. He gets the turn 2 Starbirth into the City, but he opts to chase my Aleki. No, he chases Gigas. He chases the Gigas and just takes it out immediately with a boss on turn 2. But he has a 2-card hand after he does all this, and he doesn't put a Pika down, which means he probably plays a 1/1 Pika, and it's probably prized. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. And so I just go ahead and get the Rock knockout, and I put the Gigas back down, and I'm like, okay, if he has Boss City in his 2-card hand with the Umbreon, because he Umbreon my guy, and he grabbed the City, and then he doesn't have it, so I ice his Umbreon, and then he benches the Pika the following turn. So I guess he pulled out of prizes. And then I ice the Umbreon again, and then now he's like pretty much out of energies. So he has to Thunder Shock for a turn to try to stay alive, and he fails the Thunder Shock. I kill it with a Lucky, and the game is pretty much over. So I end up winning, and then based on opponent's tiebreakers, which I got pretty lucky with, shout out my Tinka Tink opponent, and I win the challenge, winning 15 championship points at a best of 3 challenge with Regigigas, putting me with a first and a second for the season with challenges and a top 8 for a cup, which I will be replacing at some point. My goal for locals for the end of the year, obviously I'm just going to try to get my invite and chill this year, but I do want to get finals at every single local event minimum to get my 8 finishes on both, to put myself in a position to succeed in other facets. That being said, thank you guys for watching. Let me know your road to Worlds and what you're planning and how you're doing already in this season, because we've got some pretty people with a lot of points already. So let me know in the comments below how your season's going. Thank you guys for watching, and peace out.